Good morning, Golden Gate. How you doing this morning out there? Yeah? Very good. Welcome to Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Mary Murray Shelton. I'm the community spiritual leader here. Delighted to welcome you and to welcome all those of you that are online with us this morning. Thank you for being here and happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day. So did you guys all get your flowers? Who didn't get their flowers, fellas? This is for the guys. Mark needs some flowers. Did you get yours, Russ? You did. Jane, can you bring some flower thing up for Mark here? Mark Cooper, he didn't get one. And for those of you at home, we wish you flowers. If you are somebody's dad, now the flowers today are for all the fellas, whether you are a person's dad or not. We want all the fellas to have flowers. We're honoring that. So if you are somebody's dad or stepdad, would you please stand? We want to acknowledge all the dads, stepdads, fathers that are foster dads, big brothers, all those kinds of things. Now, we just acknowledge all of you guys. And if you are now a grandfather, please remain standing. Hello, granddads. Yeah. And if you are a great-granddad, remain standing. Okay, we don't have any. Are you a great-granddad? Woohoo! Fantastic, Jerry. Congratulations. All right. So this is our joy, is being able to celebrate things together. So this is our time now to celebrate one another. So please stand up, walk around, greet each other, introduce yourselves to people you don't know, welcome one another. And those of you at home, please do the same. Take a moment to give yourself a hug. Give hugs to those you're with. And if you're celebrating this Father's Day, do something special for yourself. Go get another cup of coffee or a cookie or something. And in just a minute, we'll be back to sing. So, we love you. Happy Father's Day. I know.
Didn't want to leave you out.
Thank you. All right, come back and take your seats. It's always so good to see everybody welcoming one another and taking a minute to just chat. It's great. We're having a beautiful day out today here in Marin County, so I imagine a few people are just out enjoying it today. But we're glad to see you all. We have Amy Steinberg, crazy Amy Steinberg, with us this morning doing our music. You know, Amy's been performing since she was 4. So she is very comfortable with it. She's currently based in Asheville, North Carolina. She is the creatrix of House of Love and Light, which is an online spiritual community. And she's been the musical director at many of our Centers for Spiritual Living and loves the New Thought community. So she's doing a Karen Drucker song for us this morning, a little bit slower than we usually do it with Karen. So do it really thoughtfully as we sing Thank You for This Day. Please stand.
Good morning, Golden Gate. Let's start out with a classic that I know I've done with you before. It's a Karen Drucker song. Let's just sing Thank You for This Day. It's so good. It's such a wonderful way to start the day. It goes like this. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This healing day. Spirit. Sing with me.
Thank you for my friends, Spirit. Thank you for my friends.
Thank you for my friends, Spirit. Thank you for my wonderful friends. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful friends. My wonderful, my wonderful, my wonderful friends. How about my radiant health?
Thank you for my health, Spirit. Thank you for my health. Thank you for my health, Spirit. Thank you for my health. My radiant, my radiant, my radiant health. My radiant, my radiant, my radiant health.
How about my glorious life? Sing it with me. Come on. I said,
Thank you for my life, Spirit. Thank you for my life.
Come on.
Thank you for my life, Spirit. Thank you for my life. My glorious, my glorious, my glorious life. My glorious, my glorious, my glorious life.
How about thank you for this day? One more time. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. Thank you for this day, Spirit. Thank you for this day. This healing, this healing, this healing day. This healing, this healing, this healing day.
Yeah. Thank you, Amy. All right. Very nice. So this is the time to go ahead and silence your cell phone so that it won't ring or buzz or jump up and down during the ceremony and confuse any of us. And we're going to take this time now to go ahead and center ourselves and turn within together. So Reverend Judith Fleener is going to come up now and pray us in.
Heavenly Father, that one infinite power and presence that contains with it all aspects of love and creation, the masculine and the feminine, the divine essence of inspiration and the chaotic nature of life. This one Heavenly Father is earthly, is within and without, permeates all things, enlivens and enriches and creates. And so this one is not separate from me. It's not above me. It's not below me, it's not within me, it's not without me. It is part of the very nature of my being. This Father energy guides and protects. It challenges. It brings forth the new, and it holds on tight to the old. And so in this knowing that this is all part of who I am, I claim a shift in consciousness right here and right now for everyone, that this time together be a time of healing any feelings of disappointment or grief around that image of Father. It is a time of healing, allowing anything that is retained in the body and the soul and the mind that needs to be uplifted and held, to be uplifted and held. And so I claim that the words of Reverend Mary today bring us new ways of looking at things, new ways of looking at ourselves, new ways of looking at relationships. I claim that the music fills us to overflowing, and that the conversations and hugs and little bits of nibbles, nourishes our soul, our body, our mind, and is grounded in that eternal power that is all things at all times. And so I just say, thank you for this time together that is bringing forth healing of relationships, insecurities, grief, bringing forth joy, new beginnings. And I just let it be, and so it is.
Thank you, Judith.
Lead me, love, lead me on. When I'm weary, make me strong. Lead me, love, help me grow. Lead me, love, lead me home. Lead me, love, lead me on. When I'm weary, make me strong. Lead me, love, help me grow. Lead me, love, lead me home. Love, sweet love, surrounds me now. Love, sweet love, comes through. Love, sweet love, surrounds me now. Love is the only truth, yeah. Love is the only truth. So lead me, love, lead me on. I am ready. I am ready. I am strong. Lead me, love, watch me grow. Lead me, love, lead me home. I am home. Oh, I am home. If you can, join me singing. Lead me, love. Lead me, love. Lead me on. Lead me on. I am ready. I am ready. I am strong. I am strong. Lead me, love. Lead me, love. Watch me grow. Watch me grow. Lead me, love. Lead me, love. I am home. I am home. I am home.
Ah, yes. So here we are in the year of rising higher and growing deeper. Every opportunity we have for growth is every moment of our lives, and sometimes the hardest moments are the greatest moments for growth, or the times of failure are the greatest openings to the possibility of change. So this month I've been speaking about open-hearted living and what it means to come from that non-defensive, open-hearted place the uncertainty of it and the vulnerability of it and the power of it. And so today, being Father's Day, we're talking about the mystery of fathers. The mystery of fathers. What the heck are they up to? You know, when I was married previously, my former husband's dad was retired Air Force colonel. And because my own dad died when I was very little, I witnessed my brothers, who were lots older than me, teasing one another and playing playfully and insulting each other, but all in an atmosphere of love and understanding for one another, even at times when they had falling out with one another. But there is a factor that, I guess I'm a more serious person, there is a factor of goofiness that seems to be kind of universal in a lot of dads, just general goofiness. And having been around Air Force guys, my former father-in-law and brother-in-law, I became more familiar with their particular sort of deadpan kind of way of being goofy in the world. For example, my father-in-law, like most of the guys around me, it seems like, had lost his hair. He had no hair really left on top. He went to get an ID card when he was still in active duty. It was time for him to get a new ID card. And so the grunt, as my ex-husband used to call him, who was on the typewriter, said, color of eyes. My father-in-law said blue, which they were. Color of hair. My father-in-law said, without a beat, clear. Absolutely seriously. And my ex-husband said, now when a full bird colonel tells you, and you're a grunt airman, that the color of his hair is clear, what you type on the ID card is clear. And so for the last years he was in the service, my father-in-law's ID card said, eyes blue, hair clear. So this little story came up. This is not from my family, but this woman is telling the story. She says, my father, an Army major, was conducting a field test when communications went out. And immediately he jumped into a Jeep and ordered a sergeant to drive him quickly to the command station, which he did. And when my father and the sergeant ran in, the group cheered their arrival, and the commanding officer stepped forward and shook my father's hand. Don't congratulate me, sir, my father said modestly as he pointed to his driver. It was all the sergeant's doing. The commanding officer turned, nodded, turned to the sergeant, and said, congratulations, the major's wife just had a baby. That is the kind of goofiness that I'm used to seeing, not as much in my own family, but definitely since I was married to my ex, and with my son. So one of the first things you experience with babies is the goofiness of dads. Now, all of us have goofiness, but it comes out more around babies. You know, if you as an adult person listen to the way that we talk to babies, you know, if you'd never encountered that before, you'd think we're all nuts. And I wonder what the babies think, you know, sometimes. So here's another little story. This woman says, my father was viewing old slides, you know, family slideshow. And one flashed on the screen that caught everyone's attention. My father, wearing his favorite golf shirt, was holding me at the tender age of 3 weeks. The look on his face said it all. There's my prized possession, my father said. And touched, I smiled at him as he continued, I wonder whatever happened to that golf shirt. Fathers, you never know when they're going to hit you with goofiness. And the goofiness of dads is something that is enriching to us in a way. Like, what would we do without those lame dad jokes that they tell, and that loving teasing dad who tickles you or chases you around or makes faces or whatever he does? My son is a goofy dad. And what happens when we have a goofy dad is we learn resilience. We learn to laugh at ourselves. We learn to not take ourselves quite so seriously. If we're lucky, not only because Dad is playful with us, but also because he has a certain amount of sense of humor from time to time about himself when he goofs or does something that is ridiculous. So when we went up to celebrate our older grandson's high school graduation this past week up in Washington State, we also got to spend time with this little tiny guy who is huge for a 9-month-old, actually. He weighs more than 30 pounds, and he is always smiling and laughing, always. So what we have here is goofy dad, goofy baby. You know, he just enjoys it all tremendously. And we get the benefit of that playfulness when we apply it to ourselves. We need resilience in our lives to just deal with everyday life. And we also need to hold ourselves lightly, to hold our opinions lightly if we can, to have a sense of humor about ourselves, about our own foibles and our own goof-ups and our own silliness, to be able to be looking at our own lives non-defensively and actually being able to laugh at the stuff we do that is ridiculous sometimes, yeah? We also have, in addition to that aspect in us, we have gentleness, tenderness, and that gentleness grows out of a sense that we're safe and secure. Now, we know in the infinite, of course, we're always safe and secure. The divine presence is everywhere all the time in everything and in us. So although our bodies can get hurt or, seriously hurt or become ill, the essence of who we are, the inner being, is strong and safe and secure and resilient, always. Even though we get mixed up about that because our bodies can be vulnerable, we forget that there is a resilient essence to us. People who have overcome great hardships or great physical illnesses or tremendous injuries, part of what those folks do is they focus on the essence of who they are, and then they persist at bringing the body back to a state of resilience and health to the greatest degree that they can. But they come from that place of patience and forgiveness and tenderness, and sometimes they're angry, sometimes they're disappointed, sometimes they're frustrated, but when they are any of those things, that's not where they stay. They express that or they work through it and they come back to, let's try again. And we've seen that with lots of people who have been injured or experienced terrible accidents and still survived. There is the tenderness that we have with our own babies, with our own families, with our own loved ones. We love them so tenderly when they're little, when they're trying, when they're discovering, when they're persisting, when they're annoying us with endless whys. We still love those little beings, even when they're frustrating to us. And also, we become models to the next generation when they see how we interact with little ones. We are teaching ourselves about forgiveness and patience when we're doing that with little ones. And I wonder if it isn't a good idea for us to do this with all of our creations, not just our little children, but our tender little ideas and projects that are just fledgling, that haven't come into themselves yet, that we get frustrated with because we can't get them quite the way we want them. And we have to forgive them for falling apart, or forgive ourselves for being so impatient, or sometimes we might think not gifted enough to do it right, whatever it is. So when we're starting out anything, we're more likely than not going to be kind of fumbling at it at the beginning, and it's embarrassing. So how do we move ourselves forward through that embarrassment of being new at something or creating something brand new? We like to watch reruns of favorite shows at home. And this experience reminds me of two I've seen of people, grown men, trying to learn how to ride a bike. And in both cases, on Frasier and on Ted Lasso, what you see is the desperation of trying to stay balanced and then, with no warning, just falling over onto the ground, bike and all, just poof, completely down. And yet, frustrating, complaining, swearing, continuing to wobble through it until they actually get going. It's a what do you call it? Like a compressed version of the time and practice that it took to actually learn how to ride a bike. How many of you remember learning how to ride a bike if you can? Yeah, I was older than everybody else when I learned how because I just wasn't good at finding my balance until I was able to borrow a kid's bike that was much smaller than what I should have ridden. And I could put my foot out. Anytime I started to lose my balance, I could put my foot out. So I wasn't afraid of falling. And that's how I learned eventually to do it. So we need to be able to have that observation and experience, personal experience and observation of others that begins to let us be a little more gentle, a little more tender with ourselves and with little ones around us. Yeah? And so we pass on, intentionally or unintentionally, to our own offspring and to theirs, how we do that, how we treat ourselves in those situations and how we treat them. And our sons learn from watching how to be dads and from seeing, for example, my grandson Toby, who just graduated from high school, is watching his dad interact with the baby. And I don't know if Toby is consciously aware that this new baby in the family is giving him a glimpse back into his dad when he was a baby. That, yeah, his dad has learned some stuff, but at the same time, this kind of gentle tenderness, that was already there. And you can see it if you look back at the pictures. So this is our experience of learning. Charles Wadsworth said, by the time a man realizes that maybe his father was right, he usually has a son who thinks he's wrong. And I suspect that might be what Luke is noticing, now. Ernest Holmes, our founder of Centers for Spiritual Living, said, it would seem to be a fundamental fact that love is a basic reality of life. This would, in turn, give rise to a firm conviction that God is love. God, creative intelligence, depends on his creation for expression. The expression depending on God for its essence. God could never stop creating or loving. Neither can creation cease loving or expressing God. So that source, that father-mother source that brings forth, imbues in all of us all of those qualities that we think of as belonging to moms or dads. We all carry all those qualities. And those qualities are called forth from us when we need them, if we're willing to let them come forth and be seen. Gentleness is one that is inherent in all of us, and yet can be harder for dads because they often feel like they're supposed to be the place where the buck stops, the one who sets the rules and maintains the guidelines and the boundaries. But there has to be a balancing tenderness to it in order to make that an expression of love for those that are receiving it. And then we have, of course, the proud daddy. And the proud daddy is the one that we learn to discover that milestones matter in our lives. And they matter to our parents too, our milestones. When we learn to walk, when we learn to talk and to tie our shoes and to ride a bike, and when we grow as tall or taller than our parents, and when we graduate from high school or college, our dads are proud of us. And we learn to be proud of ourselves because mom and dad are proud of us. Jim Valvano said, my father gave me the greatest gift anyone could give another person. He believed in me. And who better to believe in you than the dad who has made his way already in life, or the mom who has made her way already in life and looks at you with confidence that you will find your way. We can, when we feel vulnerable and weak ourselves, to draw that strength from those relatives of ours who are older, who just are pulling for us and know that we can do it, even when we're not sure that we can. And so when we become the frontline adults in our lives, then we need to be able to not only pass that on to others, to let them know that we trust them to be able to find their way, to figure out their own way that's right for them, and that we support that way. Whatever that is, even if we don't understand it, we make space for it and support it. We encourage them in it. That we also need to give to ourselves. We need to be able to know as we embark in places where we're vulnerable or uncertain about how to do things, that there is something in us that does know, and we can have confidence in that, even when our conscious mind can't figure it out, that there is the essence of the infinite Father in us. There is that mind in us which does know. It's not our human mind. It's the larger infinite mind that is within everything. It knows, and we can rely on it to guide us and to know. So we can have confidence in ourselves that we can either make the best decisions or the right decisions, or if we discover that we haven't, that we can adjust, that we can renegotiate with ourselves for a change. There's a Native American story where father and son are walking together and they're enjoying the early morning breeze. And they covered a good distance when the father stops and says to his son, "Stop." And the son says, "Why, what's wrong?" His father says, "Nothing in particular, but let's not walk any farther on this road." "Why not?" son asks. "Do you see that elderly man coming toward us?" the father asks, pointing down the road, and the son says, "Yes, I see him." He says, "He's a friend of mine," the father says. "He borrowed some money from me and he can't pay it back. Each time he sees me, he tells me he'll borrow the money from someone else and give it to me. This has been going on for a long time, and I don't want to embarrass him anymore." And so his son says, "Well, Father, if you don't want to embarrass him, why don't you tell him that the money is a gift and you don't want it back?" "I've already told him that," Father says. "When I said I don't want it back, it's a gift, he got mad. He said, 'I'm not a beggar, I'm your friend. When I was in need, you gave me money, and when I can, I'll give it back. I want to remain your friend, not become a beggar.' Now I don't want to embarrass him, and I don't want to be embarrassed myself, so let's take another road." And the son says to him, "Father, you are truly good. I'm very proud of you. It's usually the borrower who tries to avoid the lender. It's usually the receiver who's embarrassed, not the giver. But you want to spare him embarrassment. What I have learned from you is a sympathetic oneness." It's a wonderful thing when a son can gather that example from his father and understand what it is that fast and really take it on and own it and feel pride in his father. So we too, when our fathers are proud of us, or when adults that we care about are proud of us in our growing years, we learn to feel proud of ourselves. I really did accomplish something. That really was a big deal. I really did it. And we learn too that they're not proud of us usually for nothing. They're proud of us because we put in effort. We may not have made it to the top rung, but we put in time and energy and effort and focus, and we meant it. And the result is that whatever we brought forth out of that came from an integrity within us, and it deserves to be celebrated. So when we see that the adults around us are celebrating that, my daughter-in-law, who is Toby's stepmom, got all these shirts for us, these purple shirts that say Team Toby 20 ceremony, and not just my son's side of the family, but his former wife and her parents wore them too. And we all sat together in the stands for his graduation. And then we gave Toby his purple shirt that said 2025 graduate on it. So this massive outpouring of unified pride for him, he sort of took it in, a little bit embarrassed, a little bit in shock, and a little bit, modestly prideful himself of it all. He was terrified of going to graduation. I don't know why, but he just was. And it turned out to be okay. I think he knew that he really had a village behind him. And we were all there for him. And even Barrett had a little purple shirt that said Team Toby 2025 on it. All of us there. Pride comes forward for all of us. And we discover that when Dad is proud of us, we discover we can be proud of ourselves, that our effort and our work and our determination make a big difference. Make a big difference. No matter how successful it was, that putting in that effort mattered. And so we too need to give ourselves credit for the caring and the energy and the attention and the time that we put into things that are important to us, even when they don't succeed, even when they don't reach the vision that we had for them, even when they're failing, that at some point, it's important that we give ourselves credit for the investment we made in that, in energy and vision and good faith. And that helps to carry us forward into the next wave of vision, rather than wasting time. I mean, yes, we can mourn a little and be a little disappointed that it didn't come about, but we don't want to hang there. We want to hang in the place that allows us to take that momentum of the energy we built up and go forward in that. There are contradictions, for sure, in fathers and fatherhood. Some of you may have had dads that weren't so great at being dads, or weren't even so great at treating themselves well. Not all dads can do all these things, or try to, or want to. Maybe their own dads didn't give them any juice for it. But the divine Father, that Father within, that energy, is expressed when we do that. And all of us can learn how to do it, even if we didn't come from a family that knew how. All of us can learn how and can appreciate it when we see it in other people, not just other dads, but other people who forgive the failings and look optimistically and with favor upon the next effort, upon the future. So when Toby was little, he's about 3 years old. I think this is his birthday party when he's 3. So that is my son, his dad, and my son's dad, my ex-husband, in 2010 at Toby's 3rd birthday party, okay? And this leads us into where these guys are today in 2025, starting all over again with a new one. This encapsulates for us that as we go forward, we all have the serious and the silly involved in us. My ex-husband used to call it his big voice. When he needed to be a disciplinarian, he would speak in his big voice, which was this resounding baritone. But most of the time, he spoke in a lighter voice. Most always, he spoke in a lighter voice unless he had a reason to get really serious. We all carry the serious and the silly. We all have the big voice. I bet you can hear it in your head as your mother or father. If you think about it, you can hear the big voice. But also, there's a playful voice of silliness you can hear. My father, like many fathers, this is one memory I do have. My father used to do what many fathers do, which is to blow on your belly. And it just makes you laugh insanely as a little kid because it feels funny and the noise is funny. And all of my family has done this forever with little tiny kids. And Barrett, the baby of the family now, chortles and laughs when you do that to him, especially when Daddy's whiskery face does it to him. But he even laughed when I did it. There's the silliness and the seriousness are both in us, the wisdom and the lame dad jokes. We all have that. The wisdom that can be imparted by example or just in a good teaching moment, compared to the goofiness of the jokes we tell that fall flat, and yet they're kind of funny in a stupid way, right? We all have that within us. We also have that unconditional love and pride, as well as the side that requires respect and is a disciplinarian when necessary, setting limits. We all carry that. So dads, as an archetype, are that source of fun and learning and humor and wisdom. And we all carry that. At the same time that we want to treat ourselves and all of our creations that way, not just our kids, we also need to have a sense of humor about ourselves when we screw up. And so I'm going to share two things. Well, first of all, this is from Ernest Holmes. Spirit is the Father, Mother, God, because it is a principle of unity, back of all things. The masculine and feminine principles both come from the one. So we need to also be willing to look back and laugh about stuff that we've done. Usually if I do something that really turns out badly or I'm very embarrassed about it, in the moment it smarts. It's not particularly fun. But having been a minister for nearly 40 years, one of the things I can always say to myself is, this will make a funny story some Sunday. Not this weekend, but some Sunday. So here's a dad's story from a woman named Susan Cooper. She says, I had just come home from college between semesters. It was the usual event with little fanfare, just a regular college student returning home for a bit. What wasn't usual was the discussion that was going on between my mom and dad about dad's new enterprise, the making of homemade beer. My mother was a Southern belle who objected strongly to having beer in the house, much less brewing it there. But my dad, and by the way, it doesn't say this in this part of the story, her dad was also a minister. But my dad was not to be denied and went ahead with his brewing. We lived in a 3-story house, so the beer was relegated to the basement out of the main part of the house. Dad's first homebrew beer was just about ready. He was hardly able to contain himself. In a few days, my dad deemed his first batch ready for consumption. My brothers and I were asked, and then in parentheses she says, required, to give it a taste. Mom was not pleased, but she'd resigned herself to the fact that it was going to be. Dad's first attempt at brewing beer was interesting, but Dad was genuinely excited about his product. He declared it a success. He knew that each batch would improve. Just a little bit more of this, that, and it would be perfect. Mom sighed and rolled her eyes. Over the next week or so, he shared his beer with anyone who visited and dared. The fact that Dad was so thrilled made it hard for anyone, my brothers and I included, not to share in his delight. When I left for college, he said that next time I was home, he would have an even better batch. My mother grumbled uncomplimentary thoughts under her breath. I just smiled. When I was back home for summer break, Dad's beer production was in full swing, and he had beer bottles everywhere throughout the basement in all stages of fermentation. After I had settled in, Dad handed me a glass of his newest concoction. It was beer, but the alcohol strength was pretty high. Regardless, he was pretty pleased with himself. My mother had long since given up. She simply chose to ignore the whole affair. Dad's most recent batch was in its final stages of fermentation. He had bragged about beefing up the yeast. This would be his triumph, and he could not wait for it to be ready. The night before my dad's beer was to be revealed, I was reading in bed. It was pretty late, and I was enjoying the fact that I had no classes or finals to worry about for a few weeks. I was also thinking about Dad's homebrewed beer. There certainly was a lot of it. I put the book down, turned off the light, and was settling down to sleep when I heard a rumble. This wasn't unusual because our home was close to the main road, but this was different. It didn't stop. In fact, it grew louder. The house shook and rumbled as if it was preparing to take off. As you can imagine, it woke the whole house as the rumbling climaxed into a final boom! And that's when we noticed the unmistakable bouquet of particularly strong beer. I went out in the hall. Mom and Dad were there, and Mom was seriously not in a good mood. We made our way from the top floor to the basement as the beer smell became stronger, and so did my mother's displeasure. Dad was pretty quiet. As we came into the basement, we stared at a jaw-dropping sight. Beer was everywhere. Glass, corks, and crates were strewn all over the basement. One of my brothers looked up and pointed. The force of the explosion had blown the corks out of the bottles like rockets and embedded them in the ceiling. We started to laugh. Mom couldn't help but join us. It took quite a while to clear up the beer explosion, and even longer to rid the house of the beer smell. Fortunately, it was summer and we could leave the windows open. Miraculously, a few bottles had been spared, and they were pretty good. But alas, that was the end of my dad's homebrewed beer experiments. It reminds me of a story I heard about one of my brothers when he was in high school. I was not even a twinkle in anybody's eye at that point. And my brother had decided one day, while everybody was out of the house, he was the second oldest of 4 boys, he decided that he was going to take the bathroom plunger and stick it on the wall, on the top of the landing. We go up the landing, up the steps. He stuck it on the wall. And it worked. It stuck on the wall. Pretty cool. Then it occurred to him that he couldn't leave it there until Dad came home, and so he tried to get it off. He did get it off. He took a large piece of plaster with him when he pulled it off the wall. Now, this was not good. So my brother went to the hardware store, and you know how hardware stores are. If you go once for something for repairs, you usually need to go 3 times. But he got some of this quick-drying, mix-it-up-yourself plaster. Seemed like the perfect thing. So he took it home. He mixed it up. He sat on the landing, and he started scooping it, but he hadn't let it get firm enough yet. And so it kind of went into the hole and ran down the wall, and he kept at it, you know. But the wall never was quite right again after that. And years later, after I'd heard this story, we were at lunch with him. Luke was a teenager then. Oh, no, I guess he was about 10. And I said, Bud, what were you thinking? Why did you do that? He looked at the ceiling for a minute. He said, I don't know. I think it was some kind of an experiment, he said. Seemed like a good idea at the time. So when we have these moments when we do something that becomes a family story, you know, for years and years, it's wonderful to be able to laugh at it later and to be able to laugh at ourselves. And although I'm sure my dad was not happy when he came home, it still meant that something hilarious went into the family trove of stories. Our dads, hopefully, have left us with some stories that gave us a sense of our family and helped us learn, and we witnessed some things in our interactions with them that helped us learn and helped them show us what it means, the mystery of fatherhood. Happy Father's Day. Namaste. Let's take a moment to anchor this learning within. So as we go within, recognizing that the Divine Father is present everywhere, in everything and everyone all the time, we know that we too are expressions of that infinite presence, that within us there is a depth of wisdom, of discipline, of respect, of humor, of silliness, of tenderness and protection. We carry these qualities within us as gifts to be experienced and expressed in our own lives throughout our choices, our actions, our thoughts. And so I claim for us on this wonderful Father's Day, I claim for us as we move toward the summer solstice, the turning of seasons, as we approach Juneteenth, the African American independence celebration, that we imbue and embody and carry and send out into the world all of these qualities to bless and teach and lift and grow. That we have within ourselves both the humility and the delight to experience newness, to be bold in expressing it, and to learn and grow with enthusiasm. This is a point of celebration. So I release this prayer into that creative law of mind and of spirit. I let it go into the heart of God, where it always has been the truth of every one of us. I let it be so now. And together we say, and so it is. Please stand if you can and join me in this morning affirmation. Fathers, we say this together, fathers come into being because of their children. All of us have children in various ways. I guide my ideas and creations while I let them become all they need to be. And so it is. Thank you. You may be seated. I'd like to invite the ushers forward now as we prepare to receive the offering blessing. For those of you at home, if you'd like to make a donation to Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, we would love that and we would welcome that. This is an especially important time for us to welcome those gifts because as we enter into summer and people are gone and so on, we are already experiencing the need for an increase in flow. So if you want to give, we would love that. We would welcome that. And for all of us here, if you're here for the first time today, your presence here with us is your gift. And really, all of us here are gifts. So let's bless the gifts, both the ones we carry with us today, right now, and all those gifts that have come into Golden Gate during this past week. I invite you to put your hands over your heart, hold your gift next to your heart if you're giving today, and join me in saying this offering blessing. This gift I give is God in action. I now send it forth to bless and to prosper. I know that everywhere it goes, it is creating a world living in love, one heart and one thought at a time. And so it is.
I just feel like singing about love today. I've done this one for you before, Golden Gate. There's a power in a seed, reminding itself how to become a tree. There's a power in a cell, and it's capable of making a you or a me. There's a power in a word, vibrating at a frequency. There's a power inside that power, inside that power. It's love, 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 love. Love, 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 love. And you can feel it light revealed. When an open, broken heart begins to be healed, it breaks like the sky when a long, dark night starts spinning on the wheel of the world. Watch it rise. Out of the ashes comes another day of bright light shining through your eyes. So much surprise every time we fall in love, 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 love. Love, 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 love. La da 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 da. Ba-dim, ba-da-da, ba-ba, wave down, boom. Love. You see, there's a force in the fist, but when unclenched, it ceases to exist. It shifts into light. So much freedom releases from the wrist, so insist on bliss, 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 and love, 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 love. Sing it with me, goes like this. Love, 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 love. You got it. Love, 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 love. There's a power in a seed, reminding itself how to become a tree. There's a power in a cell, and it's capable of making a you or a me. There's a power in a word, love, vibrating at a frequency, and there's a power inside the power and back of all that power. You know what it is? It's love. Yeah. I love you.
Thank you, Amy. All right. So we do, all of us here in this room, on behalf of Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, accept this offering, and we send it out into the world for more joy, for more playfulness, for more tenderness, for more pride, for more beauty. And so it is. If you are with us for the very first time this morning, back at this table behind this section, you'll find a lot of handouts and magazines and bookmarks and stuff like that, and you're welcome to sample all of it. But please also get for yourself a welcome packet. Inside you'll find a blue welcome card. If you fill that out and give it to Galen, who's waving it around back there, Galen is going to give you a little book as our thank you for being here this morning and our invitation to you to come back and be with us often. We'd love to get to know you. The little book is called Nourishing Thoughts, and it's full of little affirmations. You can carry it around with you, and it just helps give you a boost when you need it to refocus your thinking. Also, I want to thank everybody who helped set up this morning and for this beautiful altar of dads up here. I was so excited to get back here today. I forgot pictures of my dad, but there are lots of pictures up there of your dads, and we're happy to celebrate them with you today. So let's thank everybody who was engaged in this today with great gratitude. And also, I want to mention, I gave a long thank you that's in your bulletin this morning to William Hamilton, our tech guy, and I really want to acknowledge William. I don't know if William has missed a Sunday with us since he started working on the streaming. I don't think he ever has. Not one. God bless him. So, yeah. Yes. Sure. What did you want to say, Joe?
Came to me my meditation to your William, your love, your work is your love made visible, and that's not what the love. It's so brilliant. Thank you.
Yes, she's just, for those of you, yeah. For those of you online who didn't hear that, she was saying to William, his work is love made visible, which is a quote from Khalil Gibran, work is love made visible. We have another service opportunity coming up at the San Francisco Marin Food Bank. We go to the warehouse here in San Rafael from 12 to 2 once a month, just 2 hours. And the next one is coming up on July 8th. So Ellen Nicosia is here with us right there this morning. If you would like to serve in July, please talk to Ellen or contact her through the contact info on the screen so that she can get you onto the team for July. And it's good to let her know now because, you know, generally our volunteer spaces fill up, and so that's fabulous. I love that. Also, not Reverend, I've just promoted Leslie to Reverend. One of our beloved practitioners, Leslie Giannetti, does a weekly coffee and faith sharing conversation at Cafe Aroma on 4th Street in San Rafael. That's at 10 o'clock on the second Wednesday of each month, and the next one is going to be July 9th. So we want to let you know, you can talk to Leslie if you want more info about that. Also, before we get into the prayer, I want to let you know too that Cindy Lou, right over here, if you ever shop at United Markets, she has little gift cards, no, not gift cards, they're like donation cards. When you go to United Markets to shop, take one of these little cards. She's got 100 of them, so you can all have one. Take one of these cards with you, and as soon as you get up to the checker, give them this card to scan. This gives a portion to Golden Gate out of your regular shopping purchase. So just have them scan it. They want to get it up front. Have them scan it and then go ahead, and money will come to Golden Gate just because you're grocery shopping. Isn't that great? So thank you, Cindy Lou. And you can, would you stand up for a second, Cindy Lou, so they know who they're looking for? And just make sure you grab her and get one of those cards from Cindy Lou. Yeah, they say United, supporting our community of Marin on one side, and then they've got a barcode on the back. Or is it a barcode? Yeah, it's a barcode on the back for Golden Gate. If you want one, give her a wave and she can just go around and give them to you. One in the back, and Abigail wants one over there. There's a fellow back here that wants one. That's great. All right. And may I ask the practitioners now to go ahead and surround the room. Remember that we really know and have experienced the power of prayer. Many of us have experienced healing of various situations in our lives as a result of prayer. So we encourage you to meet with a practitioner individually if you want to set up a private appointment, or come over to the prayer table after the service today so that a practitioner can offer prayer for you. They'll take you back to private space back here and do prayer with you. And if they're gone when you get there, you can go over and wait. They'll come and get you. So right now we're going to enfold and envelop you in prayer as we do a chamber of prayer together. This is not a unified, in unison kind of prayer. It's a unified in consciousness prayer for your joy, for your lightheartedness, for your silliness, for your wholeness. So just take this prayer in right now as it comes from all sides to you. All right, here and right now, I recognize and know that there is one in And so it is. Please stand now and join us for the closing blessing and the closing song. As we bless one another, as we claim this for ourselves now. I now walk, so that whoever walks beside me dwells in the presence of God, and whoever places a hand in mine is lifted, and whoever thinks of me is illumined with God consciousness. For spirit and I and all people are one eternally, and so it is. And here is Amy, and we know this one.
Let's close with a classic. There was a time in my life, thought I had to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you're feeling discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you've got to let it go, let it all go. And this is what you have to say. You all know this one, come on. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Come on. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Yes, I'm only here for God. Yes, I'm only here for God. Have a great week.